Cafe Royale. I am your station announcer, and my name is Henrietta Winklestrop. I can't spell it either. I have to tell you that Tarquin Trent, my colleague in previous transmissions, will not be on air this year. Yay! He has been offered a new contract and moved on to greater things. We wish him well, but I am sure that his spirit is with us this evening during the performance. Oh yes, it is. I hope you have settled in and feeling relaxed and are willing with eager anticipation for what we have lined up for you tonight. As you may know from previous performances, we like our live audiences here in the studio to get just a little bit involved throughout the show so that our listeners at home may share in the family atmosphere. To do this, we want you to join in with a radio call tune, or jingle if you like, every time you hear it. The words are on the front cover of your logo, and if you haven't got one, it's not too late, still one available over there. For any new listeners, or for those who have forgotten, we're going to have a short practice of the jingle before we go on air. So, Flossie, over to you. Transmitting on 69 to 92 FM, not on digital and not online. Good evening, everyone. I am Henrietta Winklestrop, the station announcer for this evening. I am delighted to tell you that we have a live audience here in the studio. You may be able to hear from them in due course. And before I introduce to you our very first guest, I would just like to remind you of our message of the day. Smiling is infectious. You catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started smiling too. I passed around the corner and someone saw my grin. When he smiled, I realised I'd passed it on to him. I thought about that smile, and then realised its worth. A single smile just like mine could travel around the earth. So if you feel like a smile begin, don't leave it undetected. Let's start an epidemic quick and get the world infected. Yeah. So, good listeners, I hope you'll all be smiling or even laughing throughout the show and in the days ahead, passing it on to all the folks you meet and those around you. And now, for our very first item of the evening. It's a musical item, and I am delighted to introduce to you once again a singer who made her debut with us last year. She is Melody Time, and she's going to sing a song for us that you may recognise the tune, but the words may be unfamiliar to you. It's called My Favourite Things, and she'll be accompanied by our own kitten on the keys, Amanda Lynn. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you our first guest for tonight, Melody Time. And we look forward to hearing from you again later in the show, if you get there something. Steady now, steady. Wonderful. Just keep taking the pills, darling. Now it's time to go over to our news desk where Paige Turner is waiting to give you the latest news. Thank you, Paige. Over to you.
Thank you. Here is today's news. The police were called to a house in Shippey this morning where a woman was extremely distressed. She claimed that her breakfast had been attacked while she was out of the room. She'd left the room to answer the phone in the hallway. The police asked if she'd touched anything, but she was able to confirm that everything was exactly as she found it. When asked if she could describe the intruder, she admitted that she did not see anyone. When asked to describe the damage, she reported that her soft-boiled soldier had been crushed and the cornflakes packet was smashed. The police could only draw the conclusion that it must have been the work of a serial killer. A distressing piece of news from the court reports in America tell of a man who worked on the buses. He pushed a passenger off the bus, ending in this man's tragic death. He was found guilty and sentenced to the electric chair. The prisoner was asked for his final request, which was a bunch of green bananas, which he duly ate. To the amazement of the witnesses, the execution failed and the prisoner was released. He returned to his job on the buses, and incredible though it may sound, exactly the same thing happened again. So he was released and returned yet again to the job, until another fatal accident took place. For the third time, everything happened as before, and the executioner was getting really angry. He approached the prisoner and asked what the secret was, as he suspected the green bananas had somehow saved the life. No, replied the prisoner, I'm just a bad conductor. And finally, a statement has been made that after intense research over a period of many years, it has been proved that it wasn't the apple that caused the trouble in the Garden of Eden, it was the pear on the ground.
Thank you, Paige. We'll look forward to hearing from you again later. Now, our next item is an outside report from one of our local bobbies in the Metropolitan Police Force, PC Sandy Beach. He was asked to record a typical day in the life of a policeman. And this is the report he sent to us. PC Sandy Beach.
Oh, what a life! What a life to be a policeman. You know, I've been on this beat all day. I haven't had one case yet, not one case. Hello? There is a little boy coming along. I wonder what he wants. Hello, son. What's the matter?
Can you tell me where I can find a policeman, please?
I beg your pardon?
Can you tell me where I can find a policeman, please?
What do you think I am, a sea lion or something? Why? What do you want a policeman for?
Our Herberts fell in the river.
Your Herberts fell in the river? Oh, I am sorry. Really, I shame. Has he been in the river very long?
Oh, no, just now.
Just now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that isn't so bad then. He'll get used to it when he's been in a bit, you know. Has he ever been in a river before?
No.
Oh, well, it'll be a change for him then. Can your Herbert swim?
No.
Oh, well, now's his chance to learn then. Well, I'll take a few particulars down if you don't mind.
But what about our Herbert?
It's all right now, I'm doing my best. I'm going to take it all down. I'm going to get my book out. The above and the right. No, that's the wrong one. This is it.
But what about our Herbert?
All right, now give me a fair chance. Now give me a fair chance. Now, your Herbert is in the river, isn't he?
Yes.
That is one boy in one river. Now, what is your name, please?
It's not me that's in the river, it's our Herbert.
I know all about that. I want to know who you are. I know where your Herbert is. He's in the river. I want to know your name. And anything you say will be taken down and used in your favour against you. Now, what is your name, please?
Percy.
Percy. And where were you born?
London.
Born in London. What part?
All of me.
Another one like that and you'll be where your Herbert is. And do you live in London?
Yes.
Yes, well, how long have you lived in London?
15 years.
15 years. How old are you?
12.
And we don't want any sarcasm at all. And have you lived in London all your life?
Not yet.
You're just about my size, you are, you know. Now, have you got a mother and a father at all?
But what about our Herbert?
I know where he is. He's in the river, isn't he?
Yes.
Well, it's all right. I can't do two things at once. Have you got a mother and father?
I've got a father, but I ain't got a mother.
You haven't got a mother?
No.
Have you never had a mother?
No.
I must put that down. Now, you've got a father, haven't you?
Yes.
Does your father work?
Yes.
Shame. Well, how long has your father been in his present position?
3 months.
3 months. And what is he doing?
6 months. A friend of mine had a hat and she lost it. What's her telephone number?
What are you talking about?
A friend of mine had a hat and she lost it. What's her telephone number?
A friend of yours had a hat and she lost it. What's her telephone number?
Yes.
I don't know. What is it?
Avenue 1.
Avenue 1. I give up.
Another friend of mine had a hat and she lost it. What's her telephone number?
Go on, I'll buy it. What is it?
Avenue 1 2.
Avenue 1, 2. I ought to know better, you know.
Another friend of
I
mine
don't want to hear any more about your friends at all.
had a hat and she lost it.
And I hope she never finds it again.
What's her telephone number?
I don't want to hear any more about your friends, I've told you.
But what about our Herbert?
Oh, yes, your Herbert. Now, your Herbert's lost his telephone number, hasn't he?
No, he's in the river.
Oh, the river, yes. Now, you were there when your Herbert fell in, weren't you?
Yes.
Well, how many times did your Herbert come up?
3 times.
3 times. Oh, well, I don't think you'll be coming up any more then. No,
station is?
No.
You don't?
No.
Oh, well, I'm lost as well then. Oh, now don't cry, Percy. I'm with you, Percy. Now, you don't know where you live, do you?
No.
And your Herbert's in the river, and I don't know where the police station is. So what do you think we'd better do?
I don't know. Perhaps we should try and find a policeman. Oh, how tragic. Thank you, Sandy, for your report. You are listening to Radio HaHa, coming to you from Cafe Royale, transmitting on 69 to 92 FM, not on digital and not online. Our next guest is no stranger to our regular listeners. She has appeared on air several times with her skill in bringing humorous poetry to life and giving us another opportunity to raise a smile. So may I welcome back again this evening Rosie Sparkle, who is going to read for you a poem entitled Washing.
Today, I was reading about a big ship. Some pirates were there on the deck, when all of a sudden, my mother came in and started off washing my neck. Oh, I'm sure that my neck don't want washing. Why should mother always choose me? There's my sister Mary with hair down her back. It hides her neck so you can't see. My mother will look at the back of my ears, and I'll tell you a thing she will do. She takes out a hanky and licks it like this. And she, well, I don't like it, would you? Mother says I should look in the mirror each night to make sure that I'm clean before bed. But I know I'm clean by a much better way. I just look at the towel instead. Oh, I'm sure that my neck don't need washing. I'm sure that it ain't safe at all. I want to take warning from others' mistakes and not in their footsteps to fall. My dad's got his hair off. He's what they call bald. It's all rotted away, it appears, so that now he's all neck to the top of his head. That's through washing the back of his ears. I'm in for some trouble tomorrow. Our vicar is coming to tea. And Ma will look round just to see things all right. There'll be one that's found wanting. That's me. Oh, I'm sure that my neck don't need washing. I'm sure that it's perfectly clean. I washed it last Saturday night in the bath. To wash it again would be mean. I don't see why vicars should visit at all. Then it wouldn't be come along Tom. Why should I be polished up just to please him? Besides, suppose the vicar don't come.
Thank you, Rosie, for that wonderful child's eye view of cleanliness. Now, I must tell you how fortunate we are to have a wonderful team of reporters who have been hard at work since our last broadcast. Our outside broadcast team have excelled themselves this year, and we're about to hear one of their most recent recordings right now. we're about to hear some snippets recorded in a classroom somewhere in a local school since the term began. And so now we're going over to the teacher, Miss Teresa Green, and some children in her classroom.
Now, class, please sit up and pay attention. First, I want to talk about your homework. Jill, where's your homework?
I was mugged on the way to school, and the mugger took everything I had, including my homework.
Can I get into trouble, miss, if I didn't do something?
No, I don't suppose you could.
Good, because I didn't do my homework.
Right, now Joey, please use the word fascinate in a sentence.
I know this. My mum brought me an anorak. I think it was great. But it's got 11 buttons, but I can only fascinate.
Oh dear. Right, what do the letters BC stand for?
Before calculators.
Jane, I've told you before you can't sleep in my lessons.
I could if you didn't talk so loudly.
John, I hope you're paying attention. What are the small rivers that run into the Nile called?
The juveniles.
Now, Sally, tell me, do you say your prayers before eating?
No, miss, I don't have to. My mum's a good cook.
Joey, you aren't paying attention to me, lad. Are you having trouble hearing?
No, I'm having trouble listening.
I have a problem too.
That's why you've got a script? You can't remember anything?
I can't remember anything.
How long have you had the problem?
What problem?
Well, we'll see how well you can remember things now, because I want to test your history knowledge. Jill, I feel you aren't doing very well in history. Why is that?
Because you keep asking me about things that happened before I was born.
Yes, well, Pat, tell me, how did the Vikings send secret messages?
By Norse code.
Who can tell me where Hadrian's Wall is?
Why? Has he lost it, miss?
Sally, maybe you can tell me, why were the early days of history called the Dark Ages?
Because there were so many nights.
What kind of lighting did Noah use for the Ark, Jane?
Floodlights.
I don't think I'm having much success today. Jill, can you tell me why was the ghost of Anne Boleyn always running after the ghost of Henry VIII?
Because she was trying to get ahead.
John, what do you think was the first thing Queen Elizabeth did when she ascended to the throne?
Sat down.
Oh dear, Jane, that's quite a cough you have there. What are you taking for it?
I don't know, miss, what are you giving?
Sally, do you like coming to school?
Coming bit is fine, and the going home is great, but I'm not too keen on the bit in between.
Well, this is the last question. Think hard and give me 2 answers. Why did King Arthur have a round table, and who invented it?
I know this, so that no one could corner him, and it was made by circumference.
I give up. Out to play.
As we may learn throughout the evening of the show, we do understand that children do say some wonderful things, don't they? Now, we are very fortunate to have with us today in the studio a very special guest, Miss Annette Curtin, who has some good advice for us all. She is to read a poem called When I'm an Old Lady. So welcome, Annette, and thank you.
When I'm an old lady, I'll live with each kid. I'll bring so much happiness, just as they did. I want to pay back all the joy they've provided, returning each deed. Oh, they'll be so excited. No. When I'm an old lady and live with me kids, I'll write on the walls with reds, whites and blues, and I'll bounce on the furniture wearing my shoes. I'll drink from the carton and then leave it out. I'll stuff all the toilets, and oh how they'll shout. When I'm an old lady and live with me kids, when they're on the phone and just out of reach, I'll get into things like sugar and bleach. Oh, they'll snap their fingers and then shake their head. When that is done, I'll hide under the bed. When I'm an old lady and live with me kids, when they cook dinner and cause me to eat, I'll not eat my green beans or salad or meat, and I'll gag on me yoghurt and spill milk on the table. And when they get angry, I'll run, if I'm able. When I'm an old lady and live with me kids, I'll sit close to the TV. Through the channels I'll click. I'll cross both my eyes and see if they stick. I'll take off my socks and throw one away. And I'll play in the mud till the end of the day. When I'm an old lady and I live with me kids. Later in bed, I'll lay back and sigh. I'll thank God in prayer and then close me eyes. My kids will look down with a smile slowly creeping and say with a groan, she's so sweet when she's sleeping.
Thank you, Annette. Maybe one of our listeners may have already tried that out, or maybe some are planning to put it into practice. Perhaps you could let us know in our next phone-in programme. You are now listening to Radio HaHa, coming to you from Café Royale, transmitting on 69 to 92 FM, not on digital and not online.
Happiest way to spend the day, Radio HaHa.
As I told you earlier in the programme, we have been fortunate to have some wonderful reporters from our outside broadcasters. Now, we'd like to bring to you a report on a recent event which took place on Tor Abbey Sands. The outcome was somewhat dramatic. At the inquiry that followed, a transcript of a telephone conversation was produced. This was between the manager responsible for the beach safety, Mr. Ivor Chart, sitting in his office at the Leisure Department of Torbay Council in the town hall, and a lifeguard who was reporting to him from Tor Abbey Sands.
Hello, Ivor Chart here. Who? Lifeguard Savemore? Oh, hello, Willard. You're a little late reporting in, aren't you, Willard? You found a shell on the beach. You think that's unusual, Willard? Finding a shell on the beach? It's not that kind of shell. What's the matter, Willard? Doesn't it sound like the ocean when you hold it up to your ear? Oh, that kind of shell. Well, I'll tell you what, Willard, I'll send someone down in the morning and we can... Oh, is that right? I was sort of hoping that was your watch making that noise. I'm going to give it to you straight, Willard. you've got a live one there. Willard, don't you dare hang up. And that's an order. And stop that whining. Now, you're perfectly safe, Willard. There's nothing to worry about as long as it's ticking. Well, when it stops ticking, that's something else again. You and I are going to disarm that thing. I've got the instruction manual. Well, no, I'm not coming down there, Willard. Well, I just can't leave the office any time I want to. No! Don't you bring that here, Willard. No. Now look, Willard, I'm taking just as big a chance as you are. I mean, this is my responsibility. If that thing goes off, it's me they're going to want to talk to, do you know? All right, Willard, well then describe it to me. It sounds like some sort of torpedo. Well, it must be one of ours. It says made in Japan. Well, it could still be one of ours, Willard. Is there a serial number or anything? X5307. Oh, I'll just look that up, Willard, and just a minute. Oh boy, you've got a beauty there, Willard. It's very powerful. What do you mean? Well, think in terms of tour station. There's a phone box by the harbour. Willard, stop running away and stop whining. I know this is dangerous, but if we can save one human life... Oh, if that's the way you feel about it. Now look, Willard, just control yourself. According to this, there's a... How long's that thing been ticking? 5 to 6 minutes? Well, nothing, Willard, nothing. It's just that we're going to have to work a bit faster, that's all. Now, according to the manual here, about 6 inches from the tail end, there's the plate. And it's held on by 4 screws. Now it says, now this is very important, it says, this plate should be removed with an LT5 screwdriver with a plastic handle and a demagnetized tip. You don't have one, Willard. All right, then try a coin. Right, now you've got it off. Boy, this thing sure is complicated. I can't make head and tails of it at this end, but don't you worry about it. Now listen, there's a little thingamajiggle thing there with a wheel of some kind. Can you try turning the wheel? Oh, I don't know. Turn it to the left and let's see what happens. I can hear it, Willard, and it's turning, it's ticking a lot faster. Well, you better turn it back again. Okay, now let's see about this. There's 2 wires, and it says here that under no condition... Oh dear, somebody spilled coffee on this page. Well, one's a kind of greyish blue and the other's a kind of bluish grey. Willard, who are you talking to? A little boy? Get him out of there. If that thing goes off it... He says it's his. He says it's a toy torpedo. Let me talk to that kid, Willard. He ran down the beach with it. Willard, I think you'd just better come into this office. We ought to have a little talk. You've had me hung up here for 10 minutes because of a kid and... What was that noise? The toy torpedo just sunk a ferry? Oh, well, that's all right, Willard. It's out of our hands now. It's with the Coast Guards.
Thank you, Ivachart, for that transcript. You know, these children seem to be everywhere tonight, don't they? Right, now we're going over for our first visit this evening to the Weather Centre. And our weather girl for today is new to Radio HaHa. We are delighted to have her here on board, and we'd like to welcome Miss Helena Gale. So we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us tonight, Helena. Over to you.
Thank you, Henrietta. The trouble with weather forecasting is that it's right too often for us to ignore it, and wrong too often for us to rely on it. Probably Possibly the last completely accurate forecast was when God told Noah there was to be a 100% chance of precipitation. And we all know what happened next. So, as an honest person, I will say that today's forecast is bright and sunny, with an 80% chance that I'm wrong. But please, don't knock the weather. 9/10 of people couldn't start a conversation without it if it didn't change once in a while. And of course, the weather is a great metaphor for life itself. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and there's nothing much you can do about it but carry an umbrella. It could be needed today, especially as there is a strong chance of heavy showers near riverbanks. This indicates that there may be some change in the weather. Tomorrow should be generally warm, but on the other hand, there may be some cold spells, so I advise you to wear a glove on your left hand. There is a warning of some foul weather coming too, but the chickens and ducks have been replaced by cats and dogs. But if the temperature drops suddenly and the roads become icy, many drivers could be going for a spin.
Thank you for that, Elena. I can't wait for your next report. Now, in this modern world of technology, I'm sure that many of you have labour-saving devices at home or in your place of work. Well, we are delighted today to hear from an old friend of ours, Mr. Persevere, who would like to share with you his experiences with that controversial gadget, the sat-nav. So, welcome again, Mr. Persevere.
Oh, good evening, Henrietta. And hello, listeners. I have a delightful little story called An Ode to a Sat-Nav. I have a little sat-nav. It sits there in my car. A sat-nav is a driver's friend. It tells you where you are. I have a little sat-nav. I've had it all my life. It's better than the normal ones. My sat-nav is my wife. It gives me full instructions, especially how to drive. It's 30 miles an hour, it says. You're doing 35. It tells me when to stop and start, and when to use the brake. It tells me that it's never, ever safe to overtake. It tells me when a light is red, and when it goes to green, it seems to know instinctively just when to intervene. It lists the vehicles just in front and all those to the rear, and taking this into account, it specifies my gear. I'm sure no other driver has so helpful a device, for when we leave and lock the car, it still gives its advice. It fills me up with counselling. Each journey's pretty fraught. So why don't I exchange it and get a quieter sort? Ah, well, you see, it cleans the house, makes sure I'm properly fed. It washes all my shirts and things. And keeps me warm in bed. Despite all these advantages, and my tendency to scoff, I do wish that once in a while I could turn the blessed thing off.
Thank you, Percy. Oh, we are now going to benefit again from one of our hard-working roving reporters who has been out in the town recording folk. And we're going to listen to a conversation overheard in Fleet Walk in Torquay at the bus stop.
waiting?
All my life.
Sorry, I mean, which bus are you waiting for?
Well, I'm just waiting for a bus.
Oh, sorry. Can you tell me which one?
Yeah,
So, which bus are you waiting for?
the 32.
Ah, me too. I need to get to the hospital.
Oh, that's odd. The woman asked me once how she could get to the hospital.
So, did you tell her?
No. I pushed her in front of a car. It was much quicker than waiting for the bus.
That's terrible!
Oh, well, I didn't really. I was only joking. But I went there once, but I wouldn't do it again.
Why ever not? Did you get treated bad?
No, it just took nearly an hour to get there on the 32.
So what do you suggest?
Well, you could try the 33.
Does that stop at the Arbor?
Well, if it doesn't, there'll be a very big splash.
Does it go to the hospital?
Yeah, but you have to go to the Willows first.
No, you don't want that one. You want the 65.
No. What about the 66? That's the best one from here.
But it only runs once an hour.
That's true. Of course, there's always the number 12. They're very frequent.
Okay, thanks. How long will the next bus be?
About the same length as the last one.
Oh dear, sorry, I lost my place.
Does it stop?
Thank you. Does it stop here?
No, but if you go around the corner, you can get the 34.
Does that go to the hospital?
It sure does. And you can get to the Willows on that one too.
But I don't want to go to the Willows.
Oh, okay. I was only saying.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
No, I don't like rudeness either. Do you know, I was in a bus queue the other day when a man walked to the front trying to get on the bus. Well, there was a large crowd with a lot of students who didn't queue orderly, so when he got to the front, the crowd really yelled at him to get to the back. Don't push in and wait your turn, they told him. But you must let me on first, shouted the man. Why? What's so special about you? They asked. I'm the driver.
You know, that reminds me of an experience I had once. A man was standing at a bus stop eating a hamburger, and next to him stood a lady with her little dog, which became very excited at the smell of the man's supper. He was whining and jumping up at him, obviously tempted by the food. "Do you mind if I throw him a bit?" said the man to the lady. "Oh, not at all," she replied. So the man picked the dog up and threw it over the wall.
Oh dear. Was he hurt?
No, but the lady missed the bus trying to get him back again.
Well, it's all very entertaining, I must say, but not helping me to get to the hospital. I'm very confused now.
Yeah, so was the person responsible for organising our local buses.
I agree. You know, I remember seeing an advert once that told you to take a bus home. Well, what's the point in that? It wouldn't fit in the garage and they'd want it back anyway.
So, please can you advise me now on which bus I should take from here to get to the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital?
Well, of course, you want the number 11.
Well, it just goes to show you never know who is listening to you when you're standing at a bus stop in Torquay. I am sure that all our listeners are very much aware of the present difficult economic situation that our country finds itself in at the moment. Our political correspondent, Mrs. Sally Forth, has come up with a few helpful suggestions that she has put in a letter she is planning to send to the press. We have asked her to read that letter tonight before she sends it, and then hopefully you, our good listeners, will respond tomorrow in our phone-in programme. So over to you, Mrs. Sally Forth.
Dear Sir, please find below my suggestions for fixing the UK economy. Instead of giving billions of pounds to banks that will squander the money on lavish parties and unearned bonuses, use the following plan. I suggest it be called the Patriotic Retirement Plan. There are about 10 million people over the age of 50 within the workforce. Pay them £1 million each as a severance pay for early retirement with the following stipulations. They must retire. Result, 10 million job openings, unemployment fixed. They must buy a new British car. Result, 10 million cars ordered, car industry fixed. They must either buy a house or pay off their mortgage, housing crisis fixed. They must send their kids to school, college or university, crime rate fixed. They must buy £100 worth of alcohol or tobacco a week and there's your money back in duty tax. It can't get any easier than that. P.S. If more money is needed, have all members of Parliament pay back their falsely claimed expenses and second home allowances. As a secondary action, put all the pensioners in jail and the criminals in nursing homes. This way, the pensioners would have access to showers, hobbies and walks. They'd receive unlimited free prescriptions, dental and medical treatment, wheelchairs, etc. They'd receive money instead of paying it out. They'd have constant video monitoring so they could be helped instantly if they fell or needed assistance. Bedding would be washed twice a week and all clothing would be ironed and returned to them. A guard check on them every 20 minutes and bring their meals and snacks to their cell. They would have family visits in a suite built for that purpose. There would be easy access to a library, weight room, spiritual counselling, pool and education. Simple clothing, shoes, slippers, PJs and legal aid would be free. Private, secure rooms with an exercise outdoor yard and gardens. Each OAP would have a PC, a TV, radio and daily phone calls. There would be a board of directors to hear complaints, and guards would have a code of conduct strictly adhered to. On the other hand, the criminals would get cold food, be left all alone and unsupervised for most of the time. Lights would go out at 8 p.m. and showers once a week. Living space would be a tiny room and pay £600 per week and have no hope of getting out. The result? Remove any inclination to re-offend. Please think about these ideas seriously.
Well, some food for thought there. I wonder how the press will respond to those ideas. And I'm sure we'll hear some interesting comments from our listeners in our next voting programme. We're now going to hear from our outside broadcast reports again. You may not know, but Sir Noah has been around a bit and has experienced a wealth of knowledge and experience from his travels serving in the Royal Navy. We felt that as a radio station, we would like to hear a little more of his vast knowledge. So we're now going to hear him being interviewed by Percy Vere. So over to you now, Percy.
Thank you, Henrietta. Good evening, Admiral. You are an Admiral, aren't you?
Yes, and I have an admiral's hat.
Oh, I see. Very nice. How many admirals are there in the Royal Navy?
46 admirals and 88 commodores.
And how many ships?
25.
Isn't that rather a lot?
Yes, it is rather a lot, yes, yes. But you must remember that the modern Navy is very highly technologically advanced. For example, we have just ordered 2 new aircraft carriers, which will be the largest ships ever to be sailed by the Royal Navy in its entire history.
Yes, indeed. These are the HMS Prince of Wales.
Yes, that's right.
And the HMS Camilla Parker Bowles.
Oh, no. That was the original idea. But the Queen said that she couldn't really bring herself to say, I named this ship Camilla Parker Bowles, may God bless all who sail in her. So it's now going to be called the HMS Queen Elizabeth.
Ah, I see. And how much will they cost?
3.9 billion pounds, and they come into service in 2014 and 2016.
What are they for?
They each weigh 65,000 tons.
That's an awful lot of ship, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very heavy, yes.
And what are they for?
They are 6 metres higher than Nelson's column.
Yes, and what are they for?
And the flight decks have room for 49 tennis courts, and the hangars are the size of 12 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And you're probably going to want to ask me what they're for.
Yes.
Well, I think I can do no better than choose the words of the Defence Secretary, Des Brown, who said that these ships will ensure that we can increase our strategic effort around the world.
Well, that's very encouraging and comforting to know. But how do these huge and enormously expensive aircraft carriers actually operate?
Well, on an aircraft carrier, as its name implies, it carries aircraft.
Oh, and what sort of aircraft?
Well, I'm sorry you asked that question, because at the moment we can only afford the carriers or the aircraft, but not both.
I mean, doesn't that present some sort of difficulty then?
Well, yes, it does, certainly, yes, some difficulty. But I'm sure we'll find a way around it.
Care to enumerate how?
Well, taxation will probably do the trick. We've actually chosen an aircraft to go in these carriers. It's the Joint Strike Fighter, the F-35B, which we are buying from the Americans.
Ah. And you've chosen these planes because they are obviously the right ones for the job?
Absolutely. Very much so. Yes, it's the right kind. It's called the Stover, the short takeoff and vertical landing aircraft, and it's been in development for 15 years.
Goodness me, well that must mean that it is actually an excellent aircraft then.
I haven't got the faintest idea, because it's not ready yet.
Oh. And now what?
Well, because there's been some problems with it.
Such as?
Well, on takeoff it generates 500 degrees Celsius of heat underneath it, which is sufficient to destroy the flight deck of any known aircraft carrier. The jet draft is 70 to 80 miles per hour, which on a ship already sailing at 30 knots means that a wind the force of a hurricane will be blowing across the flight deck, thus blowing anybody who is not already fried into the sea.
So why are we buying these aircraft for this carrier, which is costing us billions already?
because I've only just found out about these problems, and in any case, by the time the aircraft comes into service, I'll be long retired, and so will most of my colleagues. So it'll be somebody else's problem.
That sounds about right. So actually, you've actually ordered these planes, have we? Couldn't we get them from somewhere else?
You must remember that America is our biggest ally, but they have actually stipulated in the agreement to buy the plane that we can't use them outside the UK.
Isn't that somewhat limiting?
Well, possibly, yes. But it will come in handy if we have any trouble with the Scottish Nationals.
If I can just recap then, so the likelihood is that these aircraft carriers come into service in 2014, they're going to have to spend the first 6 or 7 years of their service going around the oceans without any aircraft?
Without any aircraft on them, yes, yes, yes. Of course, we could put the Harrier into it, the plane we use on our other carriers.
They are actually a very tried and trusted aircraft, are they not?
Oh, very tried and trusted, yes, yes. They first came into service in 1969, and it's a very good piece of kit, providing you don't use it against a country which has its own air force.
Oh. So we would have to find an enemy without an air force.
Ideally, yes.
Oh, dear me. Now, you are confident that these carriers will be delivered on time, or is it likely that they will get behind schedule?
Yes, very likely they'll be behind schedule. But then, this is Britain.
So Noah, thank you very much.
I think there's nothing more to be said, except, well, friends, our team here, I am sure, are in need of a break, and perhaps you are too. So we are temporarily going off air. You can buy refreshments of cakes and teas, coffees, etc., as the cafe will be serving for another 15 minutes approximately. And of course, don't forget to buy your raffle tickets if you haven't already done so. Auntie Sheila's waiting for you at the table. And the raffle will be drawn immediately after the break. So, see you soon, but before you go, remember, you are listening to Radio HaHa, transmitting to you from Cafe Royale on 69-92 FM, not on digital and not online.
Happiest way to spend the day, Radio HaHa.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back, both here in the studio and at the Cafe Royale, and of course, those listening at home. Our team and you, I hope, are well now refreshed. The winners of the raffle have been drawn, and we are ready to continue with another broadcast of entertaining, informative, and exciting items. You are listening to Radio HaHa, coming to you from Cafe Royale, transmitting on 69-92 FM, not on digital and not online. We are now on air.
Happiest way to spend the day, Radio HaHa.
So, without any more ado, we'll go straight over now to our news desk again, where Paige Turner is waiting to bring us up to date with the latest news. Thank you, Paige, and thank you for reminding me.
Hospital regulations now require a wheelchair for all elderly patients being discharged from hospital. It has been reported, however, that a student nurse found one elderly gentleman already dressed and sitting on the bed with a suitcase at his feet. He insisted he didn't need any help to leave the hospital, but the nurse, being aware of the rules, ignored his protestation and managed to get him into a wheelchair. On the way down in the lift, she asked him if his wife was meeting him. The man replied, "I don't know. She's still upstairs in the bathroom, changing out of her hospital gown." The nurse has not been seen since. And it was reported that a restaurant manager was taking legal action against a foreign visitor. The case was based on the fact that a Chinese panda walked into a restaurant, sat down, and ordered a sandwich. He ate the sandwich, then pulled out a gun and shot the waiter. As the panda stood up to go, the manager shouted, "Hey, where are you going? You just shot my waiter, and you didn't pay for your sandwich." The panda yelled back at the manager, "What's your problem? I'm a panda. Look it up in the dictionary." Totally confused, but unsure of what to do next, the manager opened his dictionary and saw the following definition for the word panda, and it read, "A tree-dwelling marsupial of Asian origin, characterized by distinct black and white coloring. It eats, shoots, and leaves." The case was dropped. A doctor gave some medicine to a patient and explained that he should take it on alternate days. The patient looked confused, so he explained, "Take the medicine on Monday, skip Tuesday, take on Wednesday, skip Thursday, take it Friday, skip Saturday, and so on." 2 weeks later, the doctor rang the patient to see how he's getting on. The wife replied, "He's in hospital. All that skipping gave him a heart attack." And finally, there are some concerns by a Sunday club group who have reported a missing creature. They were reading a Bible story in the class session which said, "The man named Lot was warned to take his wife and flee out of the city. But his wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. The club wished to know what happened to the flea." This is the end of the news.
Thank you, Paige. As a result of frequent requests from our listeners, we have opened a medical hotline with our resident medic, Dr. Watt, and his assistant nurse. So let's go straight away to where some patients are waiting to talk to Dr. Watt.
Doctor, my wife has had a chest pain when she lays on her left side for over 2 years now.
Try turning her over.
Doctor, I feel like a pack of cards.
I'll deal with you later.
Doctor, everyone keeps ignoring me.
Next, please.
Doctor, Mrs. Jones next door has her new baby.
What will she do with her old one?
Doctor, I feel like a pair of curtains.
Pull yourself together, man, and hang in there.
Doctor, my husband seems to have stopped breathing.
Has he any previous history of suicide? Nurse, I'm checking up on the progress of your patient.
Well, she's tearful and crying constantly, and she appears to have developed severe depression since she started seeing you a year ago.
Did he take the medicine I prescribed?
Of course she did. She took it regularly, but it didn't do any good at all.
Did she follow the instructions I gave?
Of course she did.
What were they?
Shake well and keep the bottle closed.
Doctor, I'm having serious problems when I write with my right hand.
Well, try using a pencil. It may help.
Doctor, I have a patient who has been swallowing loose coins.
Well, that's fine. You should see some change in her soon.
Doc, a dog bit me on the leg this morning.
Did you put anything on it?
No, he liked it plain.
Doctor, I think I've been born back to front.
What on earth do you mean?
Well, my feet smell and my nose runs.
Doctor, can you please help me out?
Certainly. Which way did you come in?
Why is it every time I drink a cup of coffee I get a stabbing eye pain in my eye?
You take sugar?
Yes.
Well, I suggest you take the spoon out when you drink it.
Doctor, I've got insomnia.
Just sit on the edge of the bed and you'll soon drop off. And I think it's time for me to go now. I have 1 or 2 house calls to make.
Very well, Doctor. Would you like to use my phone?
Thank you, Dr. Watt. It's amazing the problems some people have, but of course, we at Radio HaHa are always willing to help in any way we can. Now we are to listen to Rosie Sparker again, who is going to read for you something that may be very close to the hearts of many of our listeners. It's entitled My Medication.
A row of bottles on my shelf cause me to analyse myself. One yellow pill I have to pop goes to my heart, so it won't stop. A little white one that I take goes to my hands, so they won't shake. The blue ones that I use a lot tell me I'm happy when I'm not. The purple pill goes to my brain and tells me that I have no pain. The capsules tell me not to wheeze or cough, or choke, or even sneeze. The red ones, smallest of them all, go to my blood so I won't fall. The orange ones, very big and bright, prevent my leg cramps in the night. Such an array of brilliant pills, helping to cure all kinds of ills. But what I'd really like to know is, what tells each one where to go?
Thank you, Rosie. I'm sure that might strike a chord with many of our listeners. We are now going to present to you a sketch entitled Evening Classes with Mr. Frobisher and Mr. Green. Over to you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to enrol in one of your evening classes.
Certainly. What sort of course are you interested in?
Poisoning.
Pardon?
Poisoning. I want to learn how to poison things.
Well, I don't think we have any poisoning classes at the moment.
Well, chemistry then.
Chemistry?
Yes, chemistry with access to the poison cupboard.
Oh, I see. No, I don't think our chemistry course gets as far as the poison cupboard. Look, how about something else? How about metalwork?
Would that include knife sharpening?
It might well.
And axe grinding?
Well, not really. I think if I were you, I would keep away from that sort of thing.
Ashley Gardens and other stories.
49 Ashley Gardens?
Oh yes, do you know it?
I know the road.
Well, I live at 49 and my wife is being unfaithful. A little chap with glasses.
Oh, really? And what's that to do with me?
Absolutely nothing. I just want to write a book on it, and you're the man who can tell me about night classes.
So I am. Yes, I was forgetting who I was for the moment. Yes, I'm simply the man who tells people about classes.
Yes.
And my private life is my own affair.
Exactly. But my wife's affairs are far from private. Her affairs are completely public. She's ultra-friendly.
What?
Every man in the road.
What?
And 2 in the avenue and 4 in the crescent.
I don't believe it. The rotten, skinny, ginger-haired little tart.
An accurate description.
Right. Look, sir, I suggest you go away for the weekend. Brighton, somewhere bracing.
Do you think so?
Definitely, yes. And who knows, when you come back on Monday, you may have something to write a book about.
All right, if you say so. I'll see you on Monday.
That's right. You call in on Monday.
Right.
Hello, Daphne, darling. Yes, it's me. He's just been in. Yes, and I persuaded him to go to Brighton for the weekend. And I'll see you tonight, my dearest. Yes. Hello? Yes, gardening class? Yes, Frobisher here. I want to learn to dig a hole. What? Oh, 6 foot deep by about 38, 24, 36.
Oh, I do hope Frobisher doesn't need that hole. It's with great pleasure now we welcome back our little brother girl, Helena Gale, for our next weather report. Thank you, and over to you, Helena.
Thank you.
Heavy storms are forecast for the weekend. You will be able to listen to thunder after lightning and tell how close you are to getting hit. If you don't hear it, then you have been hit. So, never mind, it won't matter. I wish to advise all brass bands and choirs in the area to ensure that their conductors are working properly. Now, to finish my report, I would like to answer a couple of questions that have come in from some of our regular listeners. One has asked, why is it so wet in Great Britain? I thought that everyone knew that it is because of all the kings and queens that reigned here. Another listener wishes to know what to do if you come face to face with a heat wave. Well, the answer is obvious. You should wave back. Finally, a listener wishes to know the difference between weather and climate. Well, I had to think for a moment about this one, but was able to state quite clearly that you can't weather a tree, but you can climb it. And now for your extended forecast. Forecast!
Thank you, Helena. I'm glad we don't need too many extended forecasts. I'd like to remind you that you are listening to Radio HaHa, coming to you from the Café Royale, transmitting on 69 to 92 FM, not on digital and not online. is in conversation with a newcomer to our radio show, Angelina Lovelace. They are comparing notes on their travelling experiences. So welcome, Angelina, and welcome back, Annette.
I've been in many places, but I've never been in cahoots. Apparently you can't go there alone. You have to be in cahoots with someone.
Sometimes I'm incapable and I go there more often than I did as I'm getting older, but hope I'll struggle out of it one day.
I have, however, been insane. They don't have an airport there. You have to be driven there. I've made several trips there, thanks to my friends, family and work.
I've also never been incognito. I hear no one recognises you there.
I'd like to find some conclusions, but you have to jump. I'm not too much on physical activity anymore.
I've also been in doubt. That is a sad place to go, and I try not to visit there too often.
I've been inflexible, but only when it was very important to stand firm.
One of my favourite places is to be in suspense. It really gets the adrenaline flowing and pumps up the old heart, you know, my dear. And at my age, I need all the stimuli I can get.
One place I really don't want to be in is incontinent. I don't remember where it is nor how to get out of it. It's obviously an age thing.
Well, thank you very much. I just hope you will keep in touch. It's time again now to hear from that man with a wealth of knowledge, Mr. Noah Lott. He's going to speak tonight about a subject many of us older folk shy away from, technology. But Noah has a vast experience of so many up-to-date things. I'm sure he'll be able to explain everything to us in simple terms. So over to you, Noah.
It all began with an iPhone. Our son celebrated his 17th birthday in March, so we bought him an iPhone, a touch-screen smartphone with voice recognition. He loved it. It was the latest thing. In July, it was my birthday, and my wife made me very happy when she bought me an iPad, a miniature computer, even better than a laptop. Our daughter's birthday was in August, so we bought her an iPod Touch, a phone, a game console, and an Apple computer. In September, my wife celebrated her birthday, so I bought her an iROM. It was a special Steam variety, with a right-click button and a left-click button, and ran as smooth as a mouse over the mousepad-type ironing board. It was around then that the fight started. What my wife failed to recognise is that iROM can be integrated into the home network with the iWash, the iCook, and the iClean. But this inevitably activated the iNag reminder service, and I hurt. But I hope to be out of hospital next week.
Oh dear, but we wish wish him well and a speedy recovery. It's now time for the children's section. And even if the children aren't listening, we are all childlike at heart, aren't we? And we love to hear the stories of yesteryear when we were young. So I am delighted to welcome back the children's team called the Animators, who are going to tell us the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Are you sitting comfortably? Then they'll begin.
The story I'm about to tell you is about a boy called Jack.
Of course you've guessed it. I'm Jack the lad.
He's as lazy as can be, with poor clothes on his back. It is very sad.
Oh, don't exaggerate, pal. It's not that bad.
His poor widowed mother
Yes, that's me.
lived in a run-down shack with no food or money.
That's all very well, but it's not very funny. I'm a lively lad. I need my nosh. Something simple, nothing posh. Just enough to make me strong.
And learn the difference between right and wrong. So dear old mum
Yes, that's me.
thought it was time to teach him a skill.
I did.
You did. You told him,
Can I speak now? Wow. Jack, my boy, it's time for you to go out into the world and sell our cow. Now, don't forget to say in sound, so you should get about £100.
Oh, Mum, leave it to me. I'll get a good price. Just wait and see.
off to market went Jack and the cow to find a buyer.
Oh, sorry.
But he didn't know how. Good thing I didn't do that. It wasn't long before he met some bloke with a funny hat and a long black coat.
That fella there looks like a possible buyer.
If you're talking to me, lad, then what do you desire?
I have here a pure British breed of fine-bred cattle you ever did see.
A bit short on the legs, isn't it? What? It's a skinny old cow with not long to live.
Don't be fooled by that. Think of the milk it will give. I'll accept a fair price. I can't sell him cheap.
I'll swap your cow for this magic bean. When you plant it back home, your world will change when the shoots turn green.
Will it make me rich and really wealthy?
It certainly will, and extremely healthy.
So Jack traded Daisy for a miserable little bleen. His mother went ballistic. She scolded him.
You numbskull, a magic bean? Be realistic. There's no such thing as magic beans, or broccoli, or peas. Now, all we have to eat tonight is this last ounce of mouldy cheese.
But it is magic, Mum. I know it's true. We no longer need that thing that says moo.
You stupid boy, what have you done? That's our only source of milk. What a crazy son.
She was so mad she made him do chores. She made him clean. To sell the poor cow for a single bean. Jack's mother was really angry, you see. She threw the worthless bean out of the window with glee.
You silly boy, you silly chump. I've thrown the bean on the rubbish dump.
Jack went wearily to bed with tears in his eyes. But when he awoke in the morning, he had such a surprise. A gigantic beanstalk had grown so tall, you could hardly see the top at all.
I wasn't wrong, Mum. I knew I was right. Come and see what's happened throughout the night.
Jack's mum,
Here we go again. That's me.
couldn't believe her eyes. And to see her lazy son climbing was a bigger surprise.
Come down here this minute.
But Jack was nimble, Jack was keen. He was halfway up to the top of the beam, for at the top what could he behold? A mass of leaves all made of gold. Up he went without a stop, but just as he got nearer to the
are you talking about? What did you see? Spit it out now, lad. Explain to me.
There's a giant up there with a clever nose.
I've never had it described like that. In fact, for a fellow my size, I thought it was quite cute.
Why, was it clever? What did it do?
It smelt me out. Honest, it's true.
And well he might. I tell you every single night to take a bath because you smell. But would you do it? Would you? Well?
Jack stood there gazing at the tree. I'll have to wash so he won't smell me. He rushed indoors, he grabbed the soap, he scrubbed his body everywhere, even washed and rinsed his hair. The Head and Shoulders did the trick, removed the dandruff really quick. So bath he did, as fresh as a daisy, it changed his life. No longer was he lazy. He set out climbing to the top once more. He got to the top, his feet were sore, and glad he didn't have to climb any more.
Oh, 3, 5, 4, 5. I don't smell the blood of an Englishman.
Jack was thrilled. Jack was delighted. His plan had worked, the fault been righted. I'll fill my sack with these golden leaves, and I can just take as long as I please. He completed the task several times that day. Just how many times it's hard to say. But it wasn't long before they lived in a mansion, the landed gentry in plentiful fashion. Even the strange cloaked fellow was given a flat, and Daisy the cow grew very fat. They all lived happily as millionaires, nothing to worry about, no worries or cares. But my very last word I want to say is that a regular bath really does pay. So it's really important to have one every day.
Oh, lovely. Well done, thank you. We are now staying again with the children's theme for just a little while longer, because we're going to hear a little bit more from our modern Joyce Grenfell, our newcomer, Miss Teresa Green, who we met in the first half. Over to you, Teresa.
Hello everyone. Tonight I'd like to share with you some of my teaching memories and stories I have picked up from parents, which may bring you a smile or two. In our junior school assembly one day, the head announced that each child was going to be given a form that they should take home to be signed by their parents and return to their teacher. The deadline, the head said, is Friday. One girl dutifully took the form home in her bag and asked her mother to sign it. Mum, on Friday, there's going to be a deadline in the school. 3-year-old Charlotte was in raptures after being given a certificate of achievement in her swimming lesson. When her father came home from work that evening, Charlotte's mother proudly handed him the award. Charlotte, are you going to tell Daddy what this is? She prompted. Daddy, she said, beaming with pride, this is my terrificate. One day, I asked Harriet to go and stand by the map and point out America. This is America, miss, Harriet proudly said. Very good, Harriet, I replied. Now, class, who discovered America? The class all replied, Harriet, miss. On another occasion, in religious education, I asked the class to draw a picture of the flight into Egypt. Some imaginative pieces of artwork followed. One memorably featured a Mary, Joseph and Jesus on board a Boeing 747. There was also a mysterious figure at the front of the plane. Who's that, I asked. Oh, that's Pontius the pilot, the child replied. Once I remember asking my class, how can we prevent the spread of nasty diseases caused by biting insects? Mark, age 6, replied, don't bite any. Spotting that one of my young pupils was making faces at the other children in the playground, I took little Keith aside. Keith, when I was a child, we were told that if we made ugly faces and the wind blew, then our face would stay that way. Well, miss, replied the boy, you can't say you weren't warned. A child wrote this letter in an English lesson. Dear God, I just read in a book that Thomas Edison made light, but in school they taught us that you did, so I bet Edison stole your idea. Sincerely, Donna. A mother dropped her son off at school for his first day. She was very proud of him in his brand new school uniform. He looked so grown up. She kissed him and hugged him over and over again. Darling, be a good little bunnykins for your mummy. Mummy loves her baby boy very much. At the end of the school day, her little boy went out of the school gate to find his mother waiting, arms open wide for a big hug. And what did my little soldier learn today, she asked. I learned, replied her son very seriously, that my name is David. Sam arrived late into class for the 4th day running. Why are you late again, I asked. Because of the sign, replied Sam. What sign, I asked. The sign that says, children, go slow.
Thank you, Teresa, for those thought-provoking words from children. They really do come up with some wonderful things, don't they, children? Now, all our regular listeners will be familiar with our Bible expert, the Reverend Seymour Light, who leads our Thought for the Day so regularly. Well, we're delighted to have him back here again this evening with something for us to think about, I'm sure. So welcome, and over to you, Seymour.
Oh, good evening, Henrietta. It is so delightful to be back on the programme again. And after a year of intensive study at our Sunday club, one of our youngsters gave this summary of the entire Bible. And I thought I would share it with you as we draw the evening's proceedings to a close. He writes, in the beginning, which occurred near the start, there was nothing but God, darkness, and some gas. The Bible says, the Lord thy God is one, but I think he must be a lot older than that. Anyway, God said, give me a light, and someone did. Then God made the world. He split the atom and made Eve. Adam and Eve were naked, but they weren't embarrassed because mirrors had not yet been invented. Adam and Eve disobeyed God by eating one bad apple, so they were driven from the Garden of Eden. Not sure what they were driven in, though, because they didn't have cars. One of the next important people in the Bible is Noah, who was a good guy, but one of his kids was kind of a ham. Noah built a large boat and put his family and some animals on it. He asked some other people to join him, but they said they would have to take a rain check. After Noah came Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob was more famous than his brother Esau, because Esau sold Jacob his birthmark in exchange for some pot roast. Must have been some pot roast. Jacob had a son named Joseph who wore a really loud sports coat. Another important Bible guy is Moses, whose real name was Charlton Heston. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and away from the evil Pharaoh, after God sent 10 plagues on Pharaoh's people. These plagues included frogs, mice, lice, bowls, and no cable. God fed the Israelites every day with manicotti. Then he gave them his top 10 commandments. These include: don't lie, cheat, smoke, dance, or covet your neighbour's stuff. Oh yeah, and there's just one more. Humour thy father and thy mother. One of Moses' best helpers was Joshua, who was the first Bible guy to use spies. Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho, and the fence fell all over the town. After Joshua came David. He got to be king by killing a giant with a slingshot. He had a son named Solomon, who had about 300 wives and 500 porcupines. My teacher says he was wise, but that doesn't sound very wise to me. After Solomon, there were a bunch of major league prophets. One of these was Jonah, who was swallowed by a big whale and then bathed up on the shore. After the Old Testament came the New Testament. Jesus is the star of the New Testament. He was born in Bethlehem in a barn. I wish I had been born in a barn too, because my mom is always saying to me, "Close the door. Were you born in a barn?" It would be nice to say, as a matter of fact. During his life, Jesus had many arguments with sinners, like the Pharisees and the Democrats. Jesus also had 12 opossums. The worst one was Judas Asparagus. Judas was so evil they named a terrible vegetable after him. Jesus was a great man. He healed many leopards and even preached to some Germans on the Mount. But the Democrats and all those guys put Jesus on trial before Pontius Pilate. Pilate didn't stick up for Jesus. He just washed his hands instead. Anyway, Jesus died for our sins, then came back to life again. He went up to heaven, but will be back at the end of the Illuminum. His return is foretold in the book of Revolution. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you so much, Seymour. I must admit, that's a version of an old story that's quite new to me. Aren't children wonderful? But they do get confused, don't they, sometimes? Now, Dr. Watt is back with us again, and this time he's going to tell us about an experience of a class reunion. Dr. Watt.
Every 10 years, as summertime nears, announcement arrives in the mail. A reunion is planned. It'll be really grand. Make plans to attend without fail. I'll never forget the first time we met. We tried so hard to impress. We drove fancy cars, smoked big cigars, and wore our #1 dress. It was quite an affair. The whole class was there. It was held at a fancy hotel. We wined and we dined and we acted refined. And everyone thought it was swell. The men all conversed about who had been first to achieve great fortune and fame. Meanwhile, their spouses described their fine houses and how beautiful their children became. The boy we decreed most apt to succeed was serving 10 years in the pen, while the one voted least now was a priest Just shows you can be wrong now and then. They awarded prize to one of the guys who seemed to have aged the least. Another was given to the grad who had driven the farthest to attend the feast. By the 40th year, it was abundantly clear we were definitely over the hill. Those who weren't dead had to crawl out of bed and be home in time for their pill. But now I can't wait. They set the date. Their 50th is coming, I'm told. It should be a ball. They've rented a hall at the Shady Rest Home for the old. Repairs have been made to my hearing aid. My pacemaker's been turned up on high. My wheelchair is oiled, and my teeth have been boiled. And I bought a new wig and glass eye. I'm feeling quite hearty. And now I'm ready to party. I'm going to dance till dawn's early light. It'll be lots of fun. I just hope there's one other person who can make it that night.
Thank you, Dr. Watt. I agree, and I certainly do hope for you that another person turns up and that you survive the night too. We're going to present to you now another of our little musical nonsense items. It's similar to those we have performed in the past. The tune you know very well. The words are a little different, because this year we are going to sing to you a song called The 10 Days of Autumn, and it'll be accompanied for us again by our own little kitten on the keys, Amanda Lynn.
On the first day of autumn, my true love sent to me a long pair of golden woolly socks. On the second day of autumn, my true love sent to me 2 thermal gloves and a long pair of golden woolly socks. On the
I'm afraid, brings us almost to the end of our transmission. Let's put it say. Thank you, a bit slow, but you got there. It only remains for me to say thank you for listening, and we hope you have all enjoyed the programme. We've tried to bring you interest, pathos, and above all humour, a little bit of intelligence, and a chance to have a good laugh, with a smile at least anyway. You have certainly had some fun entertaining you, haven't we, folks? Oh, yes. But to round off the evening, we're going to ask the live audience here to take their serviettes, if they've still got them, at the Café Royal, together here with our listeners at home who are waving their whatever they've got in their hands, to go out with a bang in the spirit of the last night of proms, because our melody time is coming to join with us as we sing Rule Britannia. So let us now all join in the chorus as Melody leads us in the solo. The words will back the programme. your enthusiasm, your mistakes, everything. You have been wonderful. Thank you very much. And last but not least, of course, to you, the audience, and the listeners at home, of course, thank you for being with us. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have done the show. It would have died. So you, thank you, have played a huge part. Thank you for coming. And that really does now wrap it up. So it's good night from me.
And it's good night from us.
It doesn't quite wrap it up, because we do owe a great debt of gratitude to both Philip and Barbara, who spent many hours gathering these scripts together. And I know that they've had their moments of distress, and they've been fraught with many difficulties. And all I can say is this: well done, Philip and Barbara, and I hope that you've enjoyed your show that you've put on.